Greetings, fanboys and fangirls, and welcome back to Running Down Mid. And man, like the studio, things are really heating up. So it comes down to C9, this guy, versus TSM. So, but big whoop.
Yeah, the best team
whoop.
in North America right now.
For right now, you're right. For right now, because it's gonna be past tense. Come this weekend, we're going to be looking to that C9. Both teams brought their brooms this weekend, though. Kind of made it look getting to the finals really, really easy.
I believe it was Scar that tweeted out that they were only going to see 6 games this weekend, and that was true.
Man, that's probably the only time I'll ever agree with Scar, because that was just it was a beatdown. Man, I felt really bad for both opposing teams. Like, Flyquest never had a hope and a prayer, and good lord, you give Contracts a trophy and he just pops off. Should make sure that they give him another trophy before this coming weekend.
Yeah, and you saw it towards all the interviews leading up to it. Contracts was talking about how it's the teammates around him that inspire him to play at the level that he's giving, because he doesn't want to be the weak link on the team. So he's always willing to go that extra mile to make sure that he's going to be the best on that team. And it showed throughout the whole split. I mean, right out of the gate, dude was first blood in everybody.
Oh, he was all over the place, all over Nori. Then they brought the Meteos in, and it did not matter. And they C9 even went as far as to switching up Impact and Ray when Impact was playing well, and they brought in the Spear, I think is what Ray considers himself, because you can block with the
Spear
sword.
and the shield.
Yeah, so the Spear and the shield. And the Spear went off. He played really well. I think he's starting to get he's still able to be aggressive, but not just the split lane.
I also think that he's also starting to find his rhythm, too, with the team.
I think so, too.
And their gameplay cannot be more opposite. And it's just like they said, the shield and the spear. And he's definitely much more able to carry on those hyper carries and those hybrid, and get into the fray. Yeah. And that's definitely his playstyle, the more aggression. But I think playing behind Impact has tempered that and fine-tuned it to the point that, give him another split, and dude's going to be the devil on the
I
rift.
think so too. It's going to be really interesting. I'm almost positive that they did that switcheroo just to give TSM something else to think about this coming weekend, because Hanser's great on those tanks, but if they focus ban out the big tanks and throw in a Ray and say, all right, your carry versus our carry, like, man, maybe they're looking for that solo lane matchup, because I mean they got it when they brought Ray in. It was they had.
I don't know. Hanser had some great games over the split on Camille that you can't just.
I don't think they're gonna give him Camille. No, there's no way.
Well, I mean, stupid. If you focus out all the tanks, man, what's left on the board?
Yeah, you say Shen, Camille, Nautilus, get rid of those 3. Force him to play like a Mokai, which is like a second rate. Ever since his nerfs, he's not that great. And then, of course, I
don't know. He can make plays on Gragas.
Oh, that's true. Dang, there's just too many tanks. There's too many tanks. Hanser's just really good. I honestly think that the only way that C9 is going to be able to beat TSM is they're going to have to funnel all their attention through bot lane.
I think it's going to be another repeat of last summer. I think it's going to come down to the finals, and then we're going to see a 3-1, and TSM's going to hoist that statue or that trophy over their head, and
they might
take it home with them.
TSM looks really. They look really good.
I don't want to pass up the fact that we only saw Meteos in Game 3.
That was sad.
I feel like the team comp that they were building wasn't a good match versus C9. I think that they had Meteos to initiate fights and to be that tank on Zach or Gragas or Elise or something, they would have had more momentum instead of throwing them in on the Game 3 when the chips are down.
Yeah, when they're already down. Like, the team's not feeling it, and even though Meteos is a great team guy and he tries to lift the spirits of all his team, when your backs are against the wall and you're really looking to move into the finals and you're already down 2 games, there's not really much subbing in, subbing out that you can do that's gonna turn that around. And I mean, to sub not just one player but 2. I mean, they subbed in their support and their jungle. I mean, if they were gonna do that, maybe they should have done that game too.
But let's talk. At least you see a team that went from relegations last split,
very good,
all the way to the semifinals this split. It is a miraculous turnaround.
Oh, huge.
And can only get better as summer rolls around. So I don't want to count them out. Obviously, we do have our top teams in North America, and I think I could see P1 being a top team to stick around.
I do too. I do too. There's a lot. I mean, just the split alone, everybody was a lot closer than it shakes out. I mean, yeah. When you say like, oh, this team versus TSM, you're almost always going to pick TSM, or this team versus C9, you're almost always going to pick C9. But outside of that, like all the rest of them, I mean, all the way down to the teams that were in the promotion tournament, it was really tight. I mean, for more than half these teams, it came down to the final weekend to see who was even in the playoffs. So I mean, NA is definitely improving as a whole. I think the imports are all working out really, really well, and you give them a whole nother split to see where they're at. And you know, summer split's gonna be really tough. It's gonna be really tough. It's not gonna be an easy breezy lemon squeezy type set.
And I want to see what these teams do now that we are officially, 1 week left in spring. I mean, we know that like TL is already over in Korea.
Oh yeah.
I want to know if other teams are going to take advantage of this time to go over into Korea and definitely work in a good boot camp so that they can step back into North America with a stronger presence.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I mean, if anybody hasn't been paying attention, the mid-season update it's pretty big. I mean, already the LCS is very tank-orientated. This season has basically been the tank season because ADC hasn't been anything. But the changes that they're making to the Rift Herald makes it a high priority target. So are we going back to lane swapping, where something where CLG favors the lane swap? That was definitely their favorite meta. I mean, what do you do here? Because that's a buff that you can't.
I could
pass
actually
up.
see bot lane starting top lane to give more pressure
towards the
Rift Herald
because it's important. Like
yeah.
I mean, we obviously I haven't seen it in action yet, but I mean, just reading up on it, like that is a buff like Baron that you can't pass up.
And it's one of those things that once it's one and done, you can rotate back to bot to apply pressure back into the dragons
towards the easier tower lane and everything. It's I don't know. The summer's going to be real interesting with all the changes to the tanks, changes to tank items. It's very a heavy laden game. Crit ADCs are going to be almost nothing. Like changes to GA, so that really going to get those ADCs to buy the GA, maybe keep them alive because they're adding damage to a GA. Pickaxe and a longsword are now GA required items, and you just have so much going on, so much that's changing that it's going to be real interesting. But I mean, the new Randuin's is a Thornmail required item, and it really shuts down your crit ADCs. So I mean, if you have a lane that has a tank support, and they're winning, man, it's gonna really shut down that other ADC because all they have to do is start building into that item. And it almost completely negates all crit. So it's like, what are you going to do now? Like true damage? And is everybody going to be buying Last Whispers and the Executioners like way faster? Like, is that going to be your second item?
Well, we're already seeing Borks being bought like first item from almost every ADC. So
it's just rough.
Lifesteal is going to become so important.
I think your crit ADC is come summertime. I don't think we're going to see any more crit ADCs like ever. And I don't know. It's just going to be real interesting how everything pans out. Because, I mean, we won't know what to do until the Koreans start doing it.
Yeah, once the Koreans are doing
it. Once the Koreans figure it out, then we'll do whatever
Somebody will post it on Reddit. And then
then we'll just copy it. We'll just copy it. Once it's the PBE in Korea, then we'll know what to do.
Well, I have to say, I'm really happy with TSM's performance this weekend. Obviously, we joked about them giving up game one. They came out swinging. Wild Turtle and Biofrost really had great games, all three games.
They did.
There was not a game where you were pointing and being like, that's definitely the weak link. They won their lanes. They applied pressure. They got first towers. I mean, they came out swinging. But, I mean, Bjergsen and Skaren and Hanser in top lane, they were just unstoppable. I think Hanser only had like one death.
Yeah,
all weekend.
No, I know, but Hanser is definitely becoming a huge star for TSM. I mean, we've talked about him almost every week, all split long. Hanser is an absolute monster,
and he's spent this whole split working on his shot calling. It's not just coming from the bot lane. It's not coming from Bjergsen. Hanser's been really picking up the slack in that area to apply that to the team, and it's definitely starting to show. I mean, it's definitely starting to get more momentum with the team. And, of course, it's trickling from top all the way to bottom, but as the team does that, it gets so much stronger.
Yeah, I just think that with Wild Turtle's over-aggressive attitude, I mean, he played against All-Tech and Elimination, not the same thing as playing against a Sneaky and a Smoothie. So, over-aggression... with his over-aggression and Contract's over-aggression, if he's going to look to get a first blood, he's not going to get a first blood on a Bjerg or a Sven. I mean, if he does, I would go bonkers because that's crazy. The attention's got to be focused towards the bot lane. I mean, if I were coach of the year like Reaper is and has rookie of the year in Contracts, I would say that I would focus my attention bot because that's if TSM has any weak links, that's its weak link because it's definitely not mid, top, or jungle at all. Sven's had some bad games starting off, but he always comes roaring back because he has such a great top lane, such a great, he knows
how to play around his strong points.
And TSM's always done, the one thing that they've done every game to win is funnel all their resources into Bjerg. And Jensen's no Bjerg. Like, Jensen's easily tilted. Bjerg is not.
They made some questionable calls this weekend, and those mistakes weren't capitalized by Flyquest, which worked out really good for them. Like Hanser's TP so far away from his team.
Yeah,
and then come roaring in and then not be able to even connect with his team to follow up and have his team apply some damage for him. It's things like that I hopefully can get cleaned up by next week because...
I feel bad for C9 because it seemed such an easy weekend, and I don't want them to sit back and go, man, we're just that much better, because they were on a bad skid the last half of that first split, and they're doing great the last 2-3 weeks. They've been doing really, really well. But TSM is no P1. TSM is the best, and to win. I mean, it's literally since TSM has been a team, they've been in every finals. Like
9 finals, yeah.
So since TSM's been in a team, they've been in every finals. If you want to win, you've got to practice, and hopefully they've
done it before.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
But they haven't done it recently.
No, they haven't. Summer was super sad when TSM came roaring back after that game 1 win. So I mean, it's gonna take a team effort, and literally everybody on C9 has got to be on their best game. If you slip up once against TSM,
the snowball starts and then it's over.
And
especially if it's a slip up in the mid lane.
And C9 likes to play late game. They like to play methodical. They win in their mid game almost always and carry that win over into late game. You really can't play late game against TSM. It's really, really hard. And C9 may have beat them week 1, but they haven't beat them since then. And that's going to be really hard. Week 1 in a new meta, new season with a couple of new players, easy to beat TSM. Final week of the split, it's not going to be an easy call. I hate saying it because I'm such a huge C9 fan, but I honestly think TSM has this. I don't think they have it easily by far. I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to call 3-1. I'm going to call 3-1.
I also think it's going to be 3-1. I think it's going to be 4 matches. If it goes to 5, then I think that's C9's chance. But
do you think TSM will give up the first game? And
I don't know. I think they might try something a little janky first game. I really think C9's going to take it. It depends on who gets the counter pick, to be honest. If in game 1 C9 gets that counter pick, and they get the
Hearth and Reaper, though, I mean, they're of the
really
best people at drafting.
They really are. And Reaper, coach of the year, he's really good. I think C9 plays its best when they get that counter pick. So not having to first pick and giving Jensen the counter pick to Bjerg is the way they win. Without that counter pick on Bjerg, if Jensen blind picks any mid lane against Bjerg, it's really tough. Bjerg is so good. He's, in my opinion, probably the best player in North America.
I foresee that if they give the counter pick to Jensen, Bjerg's going to end up line picking a lot of VLAD and using that as his mid lane because it's the safe pick.
It's the safe blind pick, for sure. For sure. Man, as long as C9 doesn't do anything crazy where they try to do the all AD team comps and roam with talent or something like that, like, as long as, Jensen sticks with his staples, his Callistas or Syndras or even Echo, he's so good with Echo.
Yeah,
like,
as it was shown this weekend.
Yeah, like, and I mean, that's been a staple pick for him for 2 seasons now. I mean, as long as he stays on something like that, his heavies, then he's going to be okay. If he has to pick something off a wall or do something extra, man, it's just not going to be good. And you can't really pick an Ori into TSM because they rarely clump up for that ult. So you're using that ult on 2 people, 3 people tops every time, that Ori ult. So it just does. It's a tough road. Like, for C9 to beat TSM, it is a tough road. TSM has the mental advantage. The most recent win advantage, the most recent finals advantage, and really TSM's number 1 team in North America for a reason. They're world ready. Like, I don't think C9's world ready. If C9 beats TSM, man, that's great for them. But I don't think that they would be able to dominate on an MSI stage where I think
it would at least give them the realization that they're not, though. Like, it would go to him.
I think TSM is definitely MSI ready. I think TSM is Worlds ready. Granted, though, everybody's put their hopes in the TSM Worlds bucket before, and C9 came out on top on that one.
Yeah,
so
at least somebody made it to the quarterfinals, right?
I know, right? Jeez. Either way, though, NA's just got to look a lot better on that World stage, and I think TSM's that guy. If they had a better ADC, like, I don't know, maybe like a double lift, they'd probably play better. Speaking of which, if you guys haven't noticed Double Lift's stream, all TSM stuff, like, he's already back on the team. I don't know if Turtle's like in the curb or like sitting in the dog house.
He's got half his stuff packed already.
It's just, man, feel bad for Wild T, but yeah, TSM's looking tough. So my call is definitely 3-1 TSM. I hope, honestly, as a C9 fanboy, I absolutely hope that, Rookie of the Year carries it and gets him a win in the finals, but I don't think that's ever happened, so.
Hey, yeah, maybe stranger things have happened.
Yeah, stranger things have happened, so, man, go C9, man.
Well, that's going to be it for this week. You guys like, share, comment, let us know. Also, we're going to leave off with Contracts being denied his pentakill.
Man, dang, sneaky cold-blooded, dude. That was cold-blooded. Like, Contracts is like, yeah, I got my trophy, I'm going to get a penta, and denied. So, yeah, nice BM, sneaky.
Have a good week.
Yeah, GG, guys.
GG.